Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jackson, your host. Thank you for joining us as we look back the last couple of weeks. Hope your 4th of July and everything was wonderful, and we move into and you can tell outside, we're into the summer months. It's heat, humidity, no rain. We knew a few months ago that pretty soon we'd be saying, gee, I wish it would rain. It was raining so much then, but we knew that was coming. We knew it was going to come. So we're here in the summer, and so many things are still going on. Of course, so many things have been canceled because of the COVID virus, coronavirus. Everything is kind of up in the air. We're kind of juggling that ball through a lot of things. And almost any interview that I do since we've started back up has started out with some talk of the COVID-19 virus. But unless you would say go to that business, perhaps it wouldn't affect you. Well, our first guest today, probably it will affect you in some way, or it had the capability of affecting you. We're talking about the City of Lancaster. With us is the Service Safety Director, Paul Martin. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Good to be here with you today.
So as we think about the COVID-19 virus, you know, if you're a resident of Lancaster, and you think about the virus, how it affects you, say from a city standpoint, if Bill Burrows is supposed to pick up your trash on Thursday, you want your trash picked up on Thursday.
Absolutely.
You don't care how many guys are off sick.
Right.
You don't, if you want to go into City Hall and pay your bill or see you or the mayor,
right,
you want somebody there to answer that. So not a lot of excuses are available for the city. You've got to step up and do it. So as we look back on these past 3, 4, 5 months, what's your thoughts from a city standpoint?
So we, when it first hit, the risk was a little bit low for Fairfield County, even though we did end up having about 5 firefighters, paramedics that did contract COVID-19. We possibly have one now that is off right now until they get evaluated, tested, and marked. So there is a risk from, I would say, from my paramedic fire runs. Our police probably are the next highest risk that possibly could be to the public. So it's a really big help if you feel like you have that fever that's 100.4 or higher, or have any symptoms, flu-like symptoms, per our Ohio Department of Health or our CDC in the federal government. It is great if you could try to help us as we still try to provide service, Paul, because here in Lancaster, we still have to deliver water. We still have to treat sewage. We still have to deliver gas. We still have to pick up trash. We still, as you know, with all the projects that are going on, it's been really advantageous for us to capitalize on this time to get some of these projects done. But police and fire are still needed. So we do appreciate the residents if they call 911 to say, hey, listen, there's a possibility that we have somebody that has some symptoms here, so that way we can arm ourselves a little bit better against that virus, because you feel like you have to arm yourself against a virus. We all look forward to it, Paul, someday when maybe a vaccine's developed and maybe we can get over this. Something pandemic and worldwide like this is not new to our world, but it's new to most of us in our generation. And we've been around for a while. You know that, Paul. But as I look at it, we have currently maybe 1 or 2 that might be affected right now. So it's still a risk in Fairfield County. Let's not lower our guard and think that we should still not practice our social distancing, our cleaning of hands. And there are cases where if you can't be in social distancing in an environment there, then we do advocate that you try to wear a mask. So it's helpful there. But I would have to say we still have all hands on deck to try to help our county, our city, to keep the numbers low. One thing I am grateful for that Governor DeWine came out last week was maybe ranking the counties through the state of what level they're at in the COVID-19 emergency. Well, what does that mean for us? It means that if a county gets extremely high, that he would just maybe shut that county down, stay-at-home orders for that county, and not necessarily make it statewide. like it kind of was done in the early stages. I think right now we maybe have some of the higher risk going on because Franklin County is the county that has more cases than anybody else. Yeah. And matter of fact, my wife and I told her this weekend we chose not to go somewhere in Franklin County, to stay right here in Fairfield County right now. Mm-hmm. And they got a tough go to go up there. But I'm so grateful. Our 4th of July, we did not have our normal events. It was a great thing for our city that Jerry's Fireworks, Ken Sprague, donated a lot of time and effort and cost to light off these fireworks.
It was really nice.
Yes, it was very nice. I was on the west side of town, had a great view of Mount Pleasant, and it was very kind of him. He has been so faithful here to deliver such good fireworks here for our city. And as everybody found out, we advertised for 3 minutes, but it actually ended up being 14 minutes with a fantastic finale.
That was great.
And we just kind of had that little surprise. But we didn't have our normal events, and so I think the public did really good. They stayed in their cars or gathered around their cars, and just a few places where we didn't have our typical events. But there's a good example of our community trying to do their thing about being safe and helping others not contract it or keeping themselves from getting it from other people. So let's keep forging forward. As a city, there is so much that we have to do. We have to deliver so many services, and really a majority of our employees are what we would call essential services. If a water line breaks, I still have to have it fixed. I still have to get water and all these services, as well as our police and fire. Yes, we are open at City Hall. Our municipal courts are open, but there is some guidelines to follow there. And probably one of the biggest things is that the Ohio EPA has just given us the go-ahead to start requiring people to pay their utility bills. So out of about 17,000 utility customers, we have about just over 500 that are delinquent in their utility bills. So starting a week from Monday, we will begin the process to require them to have those bills paid. We are currently right now been calling many of them, offering them and educating them and giving them materials of where they can get assistance to be able to get that bill. And there are some very kind agencies that have helped a lot of people to pay those utility bills. But we will start turning the water off. Turning the water off really does have a big impact on having a bill paid.
It'll wake you up.
Yeah, it's like I could maybe go without natural gas right now, but I still need my water. But eventually we have to do this. But I'm really, it's something we're trying to be proactive on to help some of these people that maybe struggle and have been struggling, but there is assistance out there to help them on that. And those who owe some, they have the ability to sign up to make payments for the next 6 months, so they don't have to pay it all up front. So we're trying to be very aggressive out there to help some of these people that are not, maybe we're laid off and don't have the ability to pay that bill. But I'm grateful that really surprisingly, through this whole pandemic, Lancaster really was able to keep working. Yes, we had a higher unemployment rate than normal, but from my knowledge, a lot of the factories and the businesses that are really essential kept forging forward. And in light of that, we don't have the epidemic proportions like maybe Franklin County has. So let's keep Fairfield County going forward. Even here at Fairfield Federal Bank, what a great place to have this program. They're fantastic. You can tell that they're wearing masks and they're trying to protect the public and
distancing,
cleaning their surfaces here. And this bank has really done a good job in trying to meet the customers that they have as well.
You talked about you still have services delivered no matter what goes on, no matter how tough it gets. So one of them is kind of right behind us right now, one of your projects on Broad Street. It's more than halfway done, getting ready to be finished up, but been a lot of things going on in your world.
Do. And we're in our what we call our 3 mil levy paving project, which is what this is part of. So 3 mils of our property tax goes directly to the cost of repaving roads, not labor on our side, but hiring somebody to do this paving. So we have finished some really great streets. We did some streets down on the south end of town. portion of Walnut. We did East Chestnut from Maple Street to Cherry Street. But we're doing the last leg of that here on Broad Street. I had a vision, Paul, a long time ago, probably 3 years ago, seeing our parades go by.
Was that brought on by a fever or some sort of your vision?
I'm watching these kids with their.
They had a vision.
Well, I'm watching them walk as they walk the parade, noticing that Broad Street really had some places that you could trip. And so we got it on our schedule, and I'm proud of the fact that now what's unfortunate is we're not able to have a parade right now. Maybe we can have the Christmas parade. We're not sure yet.
Sure.
It would be hopeful. It'd be great to have that parade.
I understand.
And but I'm just so glad that we're able to pave from Main Street all the way to the fairgrounds, and it's going to be completed here, and it'll be a nice job. So that's from our $3 million levy, but we also have another paving project that is 85% funded by the state, and it's going to be East Fair Avenue from High Street to Sheridan. We're doing that portion here in August, which will be a great thing. And then we also are going to have some stormwater projects that are going right now, which are causing a lot of problem with traffic. But they're a good thing. It's just construction is never fun.
Got a couple minutes left. I wanted to touch on kind of briefly about the upcoming levy. I've talked to the mayor about this on our show. I've talked to Chief David Ward of the fire department about the effects of this. This is in November, something big that will affect the city.
Yes, we in the last election we got very close.
That was amazing.
I was really very pleased about it. I don't like to get the word out too much that we're about 5 or 6 short in both the police and the fire department.
Right.
It does cause us some difficulties. We're getting by, but we are not staffed correctly in those safety forces. So this is a safety levy, not only to help us today, but to really forge forward into the future. I've been with the city for 23 years, and we have been cutting and reducing staff for the last 10 years. And I know none of us really, Paul, want to pay more taxes. I get that. But I do see a need here that this levy would be helpful if it would pass and help the residents in a great way.
And I think we hear that from the police chief, the fire chief, the mayor, you, Paul Martin, the service safety director. Appreciate him coming with us today. So we'll have you folks back on as we move closer to this and talk about it more. But we appreciate all the work that the city has done in, again, keeping not only the essential, but all services going and trying to work with people in tough situations. The city understands that it's difficult out there for many residents to continue. So, like you say, agencies, churches, a lot of people stepping up to help the people do this. So again, Paul, thank you for joining us. Keep up the good work. Give our best to everybody over in City Hall. We appreciate all you do.
Sure will.
Thank you.
Be safe.
We'll be back in just a moment on Fairfield Today.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
It's a hometown bank. It's located here in Fairfield County. Branches are convenient. They're located here in Pickerington, where my office is. I'm in Lancaster a lot, and they have plenty of branches there. And I much prefer dealing with the hometown banks rather than the larger nationwide chain banks.
So far, everybody's been so personable, and for us to bank with the local bank, and we bank in Lancaster, it's been so wonderful because we'll call somebody, Steve will call somebody, and they'll get back to us right away, or they'll say, okay, we're going to make a decision in the basement tomorrow, and they'll get back to us, rather than calling a bigger bank where we had to wait and we didn't always get the same person the next time we called for a investment banking opportunity, or getting something appraised, any of those kind of things.
Everybody is very customer friendly. A lot of times I'll bring my dog Bear with me, and the staff love him here, and of course he loves them and the treats that he gets. So it's just a nice kind of a family type environment.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Thank Paul Martin stopping in, giving us a good update on the city. I want to thank, as he indicated, good job that Fairfield Federal is doing here and kind of keeping the safe distancing, the masks. Everybody is like most businesses, you go in. But I know now if you go by their billboards or you see any of their advertising, 125 years of banking. I didn't know there was a term for that. It is quasquicentennial. Close enough, right, Shane? Am I good? Is that good? Okay, that's good. Quasquicentennial, 125 years of banking that revolves around you. So they're good folks here. I go to fairfieldfederal.com. Lots of information on all their services there. As we indicated when Paul came on in the earlier segment, any interview we do these days begins with an update on the coronavirus, and that's probably not going to be any different here. We have Michelle Ritchlin, who's executive director of, I'm going to call it the West After School Program, because it's just another way the man knocks the word West out of everything. I'm a West Sider, and everybody pounds on the West Side. I stand up for them wherever I can.
Good.
So your after school programs of Lancaster?
Correct.
And she's the executive director of that and the West After School. She's the executive director of both of them. So, my golly, it's been a while since we've had you on, but the world has just gone crazy in 6 months here. I have to believe that with the summer lunch program, we'll talk about kind of all this stuff coming up, but as an overview, it's affected you guys too.
Yeah. Yes, it's a little scary. Yeah, a lot of unknowns. Good for us, most of our funding is federal funds, and those federal funds are there, so that's really good. So our people were able to keep working through the schools shutting down, so we were able to keep people employed. We did get the PPP as well for some of our employees as well. That are not, some of our sites are not federally funded. So yeah, the state's still going ahead with a competitive funding for this coming school year. So we applied for 3 new grants for this year. So so at least there's some money there for us to move forward. What that looks like is the question.
So we're moving into the summer now. As you come in today, it's definitely summertime here in Lancaster and Fairfield County. So what are you guys doing now versus what perhaps you would have done a year ago? How has all this with the funding, with the virus, how do you engage the students and the parents now?
Yeah, so in the summer or just when? So summer we do just the summer lunch program. We don't do a summer.
But that's affected you in some way.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, for sure. And actually in a good way, we're serving more meals this summer than we did last summer because because there's a lot of variances that we were able to get. So we were allowed to just do a grab and go situation. That's like what the schools did, and people prefer that as opposed to coming and sitting and eating, and so that's raised our numbers. Parents can just come up in their car, don't have to get out, we'll hand it to them and they'll go. And we only serve on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, so that's a lot more convenient. They don't have to show up every day.
Now, is that at all your locations?
That's it. We have 7 locations throughout the city.
And at all of them?
Correct.
That's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's about 500 or 600 meals a day.
So do your people actually bag these up individually and get them going? Wow, a lot of hands-on.
Yes, so it's very intense. There's a lot of work involved in this.
And so it's up.
It is. So it was good. It's glad to see that it was up. It'd been falling the last couple years, and we weren't exactly sure why, but so it's up this year, so that's good.
So we're into the summer now. That's going on, and your meals will go all through the summer through August?
Yes, through the first week of August.
Of August. Then we move into whatever the school year will look like. I've talked to Steve Wigton about all this, and I think much of that is up in the air. I think I heard the schools are in maybe three forms. There's one where they all go back and we're back to normal. There's one where everybody's at home and everybody still is on computers, and there's one that's kind of a hybrid that goes back and forth. Maybe some days somebody goes, somebody stays home, another day they switch. So I'm not sure that the schools have announced that yet. So you probably have to plan for everything.
Correct. That is correct. Yes. I think the chances of us going back full with no social distancing
That's the
is
least.
I'm not planning for that.
Yes.
To be quite honest,
Yeah.
I think that's not very likely. But the other two are very likely. So this Columbus City Schools came down with some guidance a week or so ago about what they recommend, and their recommendation is half the students come a couple days, the other half come a couple days for K-8,
Right.
to keep that social distancing, to keep the numbers down. Transportation is going to be a huge issue. Busing these kids and how we're going to do that is a big issue. I'm hopeful that the schools, because all of our programs are housed in the schools, so I'm hopeful the schools will still allow us to do that. We haven't had that conversation yet. So I'm hopeful that we are able to do that, but that's something we still have to figure out. So we're planning for, being able to be in the schools part-time, service our kids in the evenings that are at school that day, and we're also going to plan for Zooming with the kids as well, and reaching out to the families. What we did mostly when the schools initially shut down, it was so overwhelming for these families. We basically just reached out to families and said, what do you need? We're not going to give you more work to do. There's plenty of work to do. How can we help you get the work done that you've been assigned? Now, having said that, we do have to do our own reporting as well with our federal grants, of course. So we do have to follow up, make sure students are achieving. So we did do some of that. Engagement was pretty low, I would say. It's really difficult to get these families engaged and stay engaged through that time.
That's a long time.
It is.
One thing, when I had Steve Wigton on one of the first shows we came back, I had him on and I said, one thing I think has worked in your favor, I think parents are seeing, they have one kid at home and they see how hard it is to make their one child do their stuff, where maybe before they said, well, these teachers, they have it easy. I don't think anybody thinks that now. I think people see, and I'm sure the teachers now, it's very difficult on them to have finished up their school year and whatever will look like in August and September.
Absolutely, because these teachers deeply care about their students.
Sure.
They miss them. The students also miss their teachers.
They miss the teachers.
Kids need the structure of the daytime. I mean, they just do. They need that social interaction as well. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. I know a lot of the planning coming back in the fall is going to be around social emotional support for these kids and families too, because of all the issues that have arisen from the virus. So, so we're working on a whole piece of that as well. So.
Just a quick story. The old Talmadge school that's torn down now, that's gone, I went there the day that opened. Jim Dobmeyer, who you may know, was the first principal down there. He was my principal. So we go there, I think I was in the 3rd grade. We get out for the summer. I'm out 2 days and I'm already bored. I have nothing to do. My life is over. I enjoyed going to school. And I can remember going back there and spending an entire day in the summer with the janitor, Mr. Plinky, and my friend and me, and he kind of was nice to us, and we got to spend a whole day there. I think people, like I say, I think there's a lot of kids that actually miss the schools and miss that contact. They may not know they miss it, but they like that structure.
Yep, and you're absolutely right, that social contact. Some kids don't have that positive adult in their lives at home. And they and every kid that I've spoken to when I've visited all of our summer lunch sites, they all miss school. They really do. When you're in the middle of school, you're like, they won't admit it, but now they absolutely miss it. Yes.
Do you have any? Help me here. Do you have any contact with Sherman? Is that a school you're involved with at all?
So we have been in the past. We've had grants at Sherman for the junior high programs. Yeah. We haven't in the last couple years. We did apply for a new grant though for
same thing with
fall.
Ewing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe in the fall?
Possibly.
So if it does, you'll be in a new location there, because things are still on board, I think, for Sherman to open up come August. Yeah.
Yes, so there'll be completely new facilities, buildings that we'd be in the fall if we do get those grants.
And I'd have to say, as you visit the schools and see them, you remember the north, east, west, and the south when they were there. Now you see them. It's remarkable. The schools have moved into the 21st century.
They're huge.
Oh, and you're right. I think the grade schools now are bigger than any junior or high school we have.
There's 600 and 700 kids in a building. I mean, that's a lot of kids in one building. It's a lot to maintain, and you're talking about dismissals, and it's a challenge. They're big schools. Yeah.
Shane and I got to go out. Steve Poston, who was out at Thomas Ewing.
Wonderful.
Steve gave us we spent an entire show out there and gave us a tour right before they closed. Might be back in February or March, right before they closed. And holy moly, what a beautiful place. And these kids, I think they like it so much. I think such an advantage to have schools like this. The high schools not far behind will change here.
Absolutely.
It's a different world.
We were out of space. There's no doubt. We were completely out of space in the schools. So yeah, it's nice to have a lot more space. Have your own gymnasium and a separate cafeteria. Those things are wonderful for the students.
How has it worked for you in terms of volunteers, employees, staffing? Did you have to make any cutbacks? Everybody back now as we move into the summer and perhaps look ahead to the fall? You back up 100%?
No, I'm not. So at our sites currently we have 2 federally funded sites, Gorsuch West and Medill. I have my what I call my lead staff, or my salary staff is there. Hourly staff is not back. In the schools currently where I do not have a grant, I don't know what that looks like in the fall, to be quite honest, at all. If I don't get a grant at, say, Mount Pleasant or Talmadge, I don't know what kind of presence we'll be able to have, because it's just those are child care based sites. And if the schools are trying to limit the number of students in the building, well, they're not going to let me bring in students for child care reasons. That's defeating the whole point of the new rules, the safety guidelines. So I don't know what those schools look like, quite honestly. We'll find out if we get any grants not till the middle of August.
So if in a perfect world, if everything comes through that you want to come through and that you've applied to come through, where will you be in the fall?
Yeah, so we applied, we'll certainly be at Medill and Gorsuch West, absolutely, with no question. We've applied for grants at Mount Pleasant and at Talmadge, and also the junior highs. So we could be in 4 more locations come the fall.
And so will you need more volunteers, or will you be able to just bring back the ones you have and you're full strength, or do you need more?
I will probably need more staff, yes. That's going to be an issue, finding those quality
But you don't
people.
know that for a while.
It's exactly right. Yes.
When is the cutoff date that you would know?
So August, the Ohio Department of Education said they will announce their grant recipients August 15th, August 14th, right in the middle of August. So that's
sweaty palms
yes,
time. Yes,
no kidding. You're talking like that's the start of school almost.
When is that, 20-something? August?
The 26th is what they've moved it back to
10,
now.
11 days.
Yes, very stressful. So how do I go and say, hey, I may need you to work for me in a couple of weeks, but I don't know. It's a difficult, staffing is going to be my most difficult situation, absolutely. Yeah, but we'll find it. So the state does give us till about the middle of October to start the program. So we do have a little leeway there.
Geared up a little bit.
Correct, yeah.
Michelle Ritchlin, who's Executive Director of the After-School Programs of Lancaster. It's difficult for me to say that again. I'm a West Side kid. I like, and for those who may not know, the After-School Program first started at West School, what is now Connections West, owned by a church over there. I believe they own that, and I think that's where your offices are now.
Yes.
Eventually, or first off, it started in the 6th Avenue Methodist Church there, began in the basement there, and eventually you had that very nice office built there on Garfield Avenue, just across from the playground, and then it's evolved now to where West School is gone. It's now Gorsuch West out in Hunter Trace. And your offices are actually in that Connections West, and back then it was just West School, and they were trading volunteers, and now you're hopefully in all the schools and junior highs. And
Yep. We've had a presence. We've had a presence in all elementaries and both junior highs at some point, through in the last few years. So.
Well, you do a great job, and I know the young people really need this connection with volunteers and with the meals. You just can't, I think, overemphasize how important that is anymore. If it stopped, it would be just tragic
it would
right
be,
now. I think
for some families,
very difficult.
Absolutely.
So thanks for you and all your volunteers and your staff for what you do. Good luck. We enjoy having you on. Good luck in the fall here, whatever form that takes.
I know. Yeah.
We'll see.
You. Lose a little bit of sleep
Keep
over
your
it.
fingers
I
crossed.
do.
Very
Absolutely.
Good. Michelle Ritchlin for the West After School Program. That's what we'll choose to call it today. We thank her for joining us. Thank you for being with us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.